meeting of Workington Town Council. Before we start, I'd like us to remember our fellow councillor Joe Holliday, a gentleman and a colleague who was liked and highly respected across all the 3 councils that he represented. He had 60 years of uninterrupted public service in local government, working for County Highways for 40 years until 1999, then becoming a county councillor and a parish clerk. He later became a district councillor and then, whilst Allerdale Mayor, had the privilege of meeting Her Majesty the Queen. He joined Workington Town Council in 2015 and had continued his dedicated service in his 3 councillor roles to the end. So we remember Joe and all the work he did for our local communities, with his wife Dorothy by his side, who was his strength and support all during this time. Will you please join me now in a minute's silence? Thank you. Now I'd like to welcome Catherine Gourlay, our new town clerk, to her first full council meeting, and she will go through the meeting procedure and voting.
Hi everybody. For those that I haven't met, hello. I just wanted to quickly go through some of the procedures that we'll go through tonight. There'll be some voting. I'm assuming everybody else, I'm not trying to, teach my grandmother to suck eggs or anything. But at the moment, what we'd like to do is to go through with everybody on mute at the moment, just so that, because there's so many people here, that we can go through, get everything said. If you do want to say anything, which obviously that's great, raise your hand if you can, or there's a little yellow hand on your Zooms if you can find it. If not, if you just raise your hand, then I can tell Janet King, the councillor, who's next. And because it is quite a lot of you, it might take a minute or 2 for us to get to you, but just please, just be patient with us. Okay, thank you.
Are there any public participation to discuss any items of interest to the council brought forward by members of the public? Before I go through all this, are there any? No?
No.
Okay. Apologies? Have we received any apologies?
Yeah, Lillian Baldry.
Right, thank you. Declarations of interest. Receive any declarations of interest relating to matters which appear on this agenda, but which have not previously been...
Yes, we have. We've received one from Barbara Cannon, Councillor Barbara Cannon.
In relation to?
In relation to number 7. Barbara, can you unmute yourself?
Right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I was actually trying to catch your attention about the apologies. We've had apologies from Susan Scoon, who has had a death in the family.
Oh dear.
So she can't be here. But yes, I'd like to declare a prejudicial interest in item 7 because I'm a trustee of the Carnegie Theatre.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Will's got his hand up as well, Janice.
Sorry, Councillor Wilkinson.
Sorry, yeah, Councillor Wilkinson.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Due to proceedings that has gone on with regards the Environment Committee, I am now the Secretary of Fenans Allotment Society, and I'm also a plot holder on Fenans allotment site.
Thank you. Is that everyone? Item 3. Exclusion of press and public. I don't think we have any press or public at the moment, but are there any items on the agenda that where they should be excluded? I think not.
No.
Okay. Minutes of the previous meeting. To receive the minutes from the meeting on 7th of October and affirm them as a true record. Can I have a proposer and seconder, please?
Billy Muskelly's got his hand up.
I'm so sorry, can't see everybody.
I'll second them.
Sorry, Councillor Muskelly, can you unmute yourself? Are you
Are you
proposing?
proposing?
You need to unmute yourself, Councillor Muskelly.
Sorry, I'll never get used to technology today. What it is, I'd like to say that there's been something missed out in the minutes of the 7th of October, a very important item. I rose and I spoke at that meeting and I said, this is verbatim, this is just what I said. I said that Councillor Patrick McCarthy was timed out, was no longer a member of this council. The mayor confirmed that she knew this and said she thought that the previous town clerk, Chris Bagshaw, had already written to Patrick McCarthy. However, this isn't in the minutes. I feel this is an important part of the paper trail and I would like it put into the minute. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I also just check, because that was an extraordinary meeting, we didn't approve the previous minutes, which I think were the 23rd of September.
I think I've included those in the minutes that everybody's got.
Right, so can we approve those as well then, please?
I'll move those minutes with the amendment from Councillor Muskelly.
I'll second them.
Okay, so
What about the previous minutes? Can I have a proposer and seconder for those, please?
I'll propose them.
Seconded.
Okay. Item 5, mayor and announcements. Again, I haven't had a full number because of COVID, but I'd also like to report that I'm sending a letter of grateful thanks to CF Events, who have confirmed that they'll be donating a wonderful sum of £850 to the Mayor's charities, and they raised that over the Cumbria Virtual Festival last weekend. So can we note the report, please? Do I need a proposer and seconder for noting?
No.
No? I will just note it then, thank you. Item 6, Princess...
I've got my hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was just writing something. Sorry, Councillor Heaslip.
Yeah. On the, I don't know where else to bring this up under mayoral announcement, except under mayoral announcement, because that relates to civic activities. Could I ask that if we're having a civic activity at which councillors are present wearing robes, that all councillors get invited, please? I say there was an activity at the sad occasion of Joe Holliday's funeral where some councillors were there wearing robes, but other councillors didn't know anything about it and didn't receive any notification and weren't able to take part. So if we're going to have civic activities with members wearing robes, can we please ensure that all members of the council are included in that? Thank you.
Yeah.
In future ones, yeah. Thank you for your comment. Are we okay for item 6 now? Princess Street Daycare Centre. Councillor Scott.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Catherine, is there any chance you can make me co-host so as I can try and share my screen?
I certainly will try more. There you go.
Do forgive me, I'm a bit like Councillor Muskelly, as in not as IT as I probably should be. There you go. Can everyone see the screen? My screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think if I press that, you see the bigger picture, don't you?
Yeah.
It's just really a discussion. I wasn't present at the last meeting with regards to the daycare centre, but I just felt as though we needed to discuss it again from a context of protecting the park, really. And as we go through this, I would like to just point out a couple of things that I'm not sure everyone's aware of, but hopefully we can talk them through and get a vote that we can progress on this. Basically, this has become available. It was a county council building that was used, as everyone knows, for the elderly. In 2018, they declared it, they didn't need it anymore. However, in 2019, they did use it, I believe, for young vulnerable adults for a while, before declaring that it was surplus to requirements. Now, I believe at the last meeting, there was a discussional point whether it would fall under a community asset. Having had communication with Stuart Young and some of the lead officers in Cumbria County Council, they assure me it doesn't fall under a community asset. It wouldn't fall under a community asset. It's a strictly development opportunity. And because of that, a valuable price was set on it. The key point that I wanted to get across, and the reason I say that it's about protecting the park, see if I can get it to move on. No. Is if everyone can look at that one there, what you actually see, this is the community centre where my adder is here. And then this is where the fence is that runs round the community centre. But actually, when you look at the area of land that this community centre holds, it really is quite a large piece of land. And anyone who purchases that land has a right to then develop on that land. Having looked at it, we are calculating probably 3 to 4 reasonable sized houses could be built on that land if someone else purchased it. I believe what the county council has offered and agreed is a £50,000 price tag for it, taking into account the rent within the 6 rooms of the buildings up the road is 16,500. We could literally have it paid off within 4 years. And we should probably take into account at some point since we started renting those 6 rooms, we've paid about £400,000 rent to Allerdale Borough Council. So I pretty much see this as an opportunity to not only protect the park, because obviously we don't really want to see houses being built within the park area, but as well as that, I think it's a saving that the council will benefit from in future years, really. And if we're concerned about the cash, because obviously there was the initial Hyde Harrington survey that went on, that they went at 30,000. I would just like to point, really, for anyone who hasn't seen it, I'm just going to minimise down if I can. Basically what you have here is an entrance that comes in off Princess Street. We have an office space here with 2 cupboards. We then have 2 rooms that we see these turned as female toilets and male toilets. And when I say we, I do apologise. It was a discussion we had with Chris and a gentleman who's a builder who looked at the property with us. This is basically a big room. For anyone who's seen that room, it's large enough to hold our meetings in, physical meetings, that is. I know it's going to be a while till we have them, but it is large enough to hold it. And we then go into an area, they call it the quiet area. This area is big enough for 3 to 4 people to work inside that area. So we would look at that with regards to, obviously, Amy, Emma, and Judith. This is the side entrance. We have a boiler room with low-level sinks for boots for washing off stores. Should garden staff or maintenance staff want to use it to clean the boots down, they can do so. Next to it, I keep losing my thing, sorry. It's got a toilet there, but it can be turned into an office. It's big enough for an office space. This area here is big enough for a bait cabin for the grounds staff. And the shower room was just suggested that it stayed as it was, really. from a point of view that it's an opportunity for grounds to, in the event of water and rain, etc., they can actually get showered and cleaned down. Compare. Oh, hang on. How do I go back?
Start it again. I think if that's your last page, you'll just press return. Right click. If you right click, there you go. Go back and click on the slide that you want.
There you go. That was the one. If I look, and this is a piece of land, and you'll probably all know where it is. That's in St Michael's Ward. It's similar size to that piece of land. It's currently on the market at £55,000. Haven't spoke to the land owner, developer. They have had bids of around that particular price for that piece of land. Now that piece of land is purely for the piece of land, as you can see, will need cleared anyway. And it doesn't have a building on it. You know, Princess Street building, although on the outside looks somewhat run down and will need some investment, not as much as originally thought. It is, in my opinion, in really good nick and well worth our investment, to be fair. And that's it really. That's all I wanted to talk through really, just to make sure. And I would like the backing of the council to say that we're prepared to look at this and move forward on it, because obviously we don't want to lose this. We need to protect the park, and if acceptable, I think we should move on it as quickly as possible and purchase the building. Me, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Wilkinson has raised his hand.
Thank you. Yeah, Paul, looking at that photo of that plot of land, that is near enough opposite my house. It would cost roughly that for to clear it. It's now used as rubbish tip. I myself have spoken to a builder who has expressed interest in buying this county council building. It actually bought land over the road, just down past the Princess Street Centre, and he built half a dozen houses on there, and he has seen a massive potential to buy it. And it's like you said, anyone who was interested in buying this would be taking the whole piece of land. I think there would be an absolute outcry from the general public if we were not to buy this and protect the land. What sort of message does it say if we're going to allow our best asset to be taken by developers to make the profit? It won't look very good for this council. Regardless of politics, I think it's a way for this council to move forward.
We've got hands up by Councillor Mary Bainbridge.
Thank you. I don't have a problem with us buying this land and the building. My main concern is that we are going to be paying £50,000 and getting a Public Works Loans Board to do it. We have money in our bank account. Why are we doing this and going to put ourselves in debt when we have the money there to pay for it? We've got lots of underspend, and I can't understand why we're borrowing to get it.
Sorry, Janet, can I reply to that, please?
Yes, please.
Thank you. We've looked at different ways of well, different if this was going to go through, and the chances are we might not need a loan. There is actually earmarked money available to us, so there's lots of different options of going forward, which we, you know, if we decide to go forward, then it would be a case of looking at the financial options and presenting them to the council for you know, to decide exactly which way you want to go forward, but we can actually afford to do it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Barbara Cannon has her hand up, please.
Yeah, thank you for that. I was a bit slow putting my hand up. Still not used to don't know how to take it down again. There you go. Right. The council has just passed the minute of the last meeting, which actually asked me to negotiate with the county council. And as I'm a bit of a stickler for procedure, can I just raise the point that no one has asked me so far to report back. And also, it is the first time in my life as a councillor I've ever seen another councillor do a presentation on this stuff. Most of what Paul has said is actually what was discussed at the last meeting, but my concern was about the cost and the value of the land. I did actually speak at length to the councillor, the portfolio holder, and I actually got a better map than we'd been given in the last report, which was pages long, if you remember. And with the aid of that, I went down and looked at it, and there was a few things that made me smile, actually. I know the building quite well because my mother-in-law used to go to the day centre, so I know what it's like inside, and it is quite a big building. The land outside is what interested me, because when I paced it out, I thought, well, this is quite a big piece of land. The report we had from the surveyor and the report that Chris wrote to the council kept saying the same thing, that the value of the building was, by our surveyor, was 30,000. In fact, I suspect the surveyor hadn't been asked to value the whole thing, because if you value the land that goes with the building, to get the land and the building at 50,000 is actually not bad value. But I would like to take the council up on another issue which I'd raised at the time, and I've had the chance to do more work at. It's true that the council pays about £16,500 a year to Allerdale Council. It's not rent. It pays for the business rates, the insurances, the heating, the lighting, the cleaning, the maintenance of the building, the security of the building. And I think the 16,500 even includes the rent of a lock-up somewhere in Moor Close. When we own this building outright, and the thing is it'll belong to the town, we will still have to pay business rates, insurances. We'll have to put in a telephone system and pay for telephones and broadband. We'll have to do the heating, the lighting, the cleaning, the maintenance as well. And that's on top, that's besides the one-off capital costs of putting it into some sort of shape. So I wouldn't like people to run away with the idea that we're making an annual saving, because that's not the case. However, I want to go back to what I raised, the concern I had about the Public Loans Works Board. Excuse me, I have a sore throat today. And Catherine has mentioned this because I've spoken to her several times about it. It's normal with the Public Loans Works Board, providing a Secretary of State allows a town council to take a loan out in the first place, that you take it out for a period of time, not 3 or 4 years, but much longer than that. And if you want to stop it early and pay it back, you actually have to pay a premium on that. So I think the lowest number of years you'd get a public loans for would be 10 years. And as I illustrated at the last council meeting, that was racking up the cost. And if you remember, we had said we wanted to take out £110,000 from the Public Loans Work Board. And part of that was also to do up the bait cabin. And it took me a while to realise that when you were talking about the bait cabin, you were actually talking about the cafe in the centre of the park, which is a different matter altogether. So I think it's a good idea to buy it and to do up the cafe, because we've long had an aspiration for that. I certainly would propose that it comes out of this year's balances. And if you're in any doubt about the balance, the underspends that we have this year, because I've been looking at the accounts very carefully, obviously because of the pandemic, we have substantial underspends this year, and they amount, as of the 31st of October, to £312,000. So you don't need a loan. So what I would suggest is too, that because the agenda suggests taking out a loan, that immediately sends a message out to the council that that's what we're intending to do. So I think if we're going to do this, there has to be a very clear amendment that says what we're intending to do, and recognise that there's going to be, I would think, quite a bit of a timescale in order to do all of this. I don't know how long it would take, for example, to complete the purchase of the building. My experiences of local authorities and doing these things, it can take forever. County Council's no different. So I think if we go for this tonight, we're going to have to say to the County Council, when do you expect us to complete? Because you want to take the money out of this year's underspend, surely. So that's that. But I also think that this council, in the interests of transparency and also demonstrating to the public that we are looking after their money and their assets, that we get before too long properly costed reports on everything it's going to cost, because everything we've had so far has been reports that have told us we're going to save money when we're not, and we haven't yet got any proper costs of how much things will be. I noted in the report from the surveyor that he hadn't looked at the boiler, for example. Last time I was in the building, it was warm when I went in. It's some time ago. I know that you often have to replace boilers every so many years. Some of you might know more than that than me, but he did say expressly that he hadn't looked at the boiler, so that's another cost. He did say that the asbestos had been taken out of the building last year. When we complete, we must ask the County Council to give us a certificate to say they've done that. Because I can remember, and it's not that long ago, we had councillors used to chase people about asbestos in buildings, so you need to make sure that's there too. And I think it's all about time scale and will to make it work. That's going to be important. I'm also a bit bothered about the roof. It says it's a felt roof. I don't know much about roof structures, but I wondered if that needed a proper report done on it, and if it needed to be an improved roof. But I also thought it would be a great opportunity, perhaps, to have a roof that can support solar panels, so that the council can get the payback eventually, and also demonstrate that we're a green council moving forward. But that would take a different kind of report to Environment Committee or somebody. See.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think it was Councillor Wilkinson, followed by Councillor Armstrong.
I had my say, Madam Mayor.
Oh, sorry, your hand's still up.
I do apologise.
Sorry. Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I totally agree with what Councillor Cannon's saying, but I think tonight we need a yes or no on do we purchase the building. If we're in favour of taking this building on, then I think we need to go down the route of finding out just everything what we need to know financially, and have a one-off meeting to get our teeth into what's what and things. Thank you.
Thank you. Did Councillor Scott want to reply?
Yeah, so sorry, I can't raise my hand since you've made me co-host. I don't have a raise hand function anymore. So forgive me for waving at the screen. I agree wholeheartedly with what Councillor Clann said about the roof, and I think it'd be fantastic if we would get some form of a green energy in there. Having been inside it is in really good nick. I know that I've got a funny feeling that I'm breaking some kind of regulation here by speaking on this, but I have had a discussion with David, who was at the building, and he assured me that the boilers in 2019 were serviced and up to specification. However, we would need to do our own reports on it, so that would be something we would need to do. Yeah.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to say anything, or do we want to?
Sorry, Councillor Barbara Cannon is waving. And so is, sorry, Councillor Michael
Councillor
Heaslip,
Heaslip.
Councillor
Okay.
Cannon.
Sorry, I took my hand down and then put it up again. just to say that I am very clear, and I have said that we should purchase the building. What we cannot do is say that we'll have another meeting to discuss how we're going to do it. And the reason for that is that my concluding comment to the portfolio holder in the county council, and I think Paul's as well, was that this council would make the decision tonight. And that's why I'm saying we buy the building out of the underspends because we can afford to do so. And just for anyone who's in any doubt, the underspends amount to £312,000. But we also have money in the bank in reserves, which amount to, at the beginning of the financial year, amounted to £306,000. We are not a poor council. And if we are not careful and allow a lot of money to go back into balances, then the district auditor will do what they did 4 years ago and tell us we've got too much money, which is why for 4 years we've been having to take money out of balances in order to pay for stuff. So I'm very clear that I believe it's perfectly reasonable to take it out of balances. It's for the town clerk to work out how it's done. And I'm perfectly happy for her to let her sort that out herself. That's good for me. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I just say something? Sorry, just for a second. Councillor Cannon, the underspend that we, sorry, not the underspends, the reserves that we've got, earmarked reserves, they come to about 250,000, just over, and there is an actual earmark reserve for parks. So there is, yeah, I agree, there is some there. I don't know whether we take the whole out, but that obviously is what you decide that. Sorry, Councillor Heaslip, your hand, and then Councillor Briggs.
My point was only, Madam Mayor, entirely agree with it. We proceed to buy the building. I would only ask it to be confirmed that the reference in the motion that actually appears on the agenda, that the council funds the purchase through a loan from the Public Works Loans Board for the value of the building is taken out, is deleted from the recommendation. Because for the reasons that Barbara outlined, there's no need for us to get ourselves into debt here. We've got money which we should be put into use rather than just sitting in the bank. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree totally with that, and Catherine will amend that.
Yeah, sorry, Councillor Herbert Briggs, Mayor.
That's it.
Councillor Briggs, it's you.
Oh, sorry, Catherine. I was waiting for the message. I agree with Councillor Cannon and Councillor Heaslip, and I think we should push on. And I don't know if we'll take a vote on this to purchase it, but I think we can crack on and make a decision and move forward with this, and hopefully get it sorted as soon as we can, and get the building bought and turned into Workington Town Council asset. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Heaslip, did you have your hand up again, or? Mute.
You're on mute, Councillor Heaslip. There you are.
Thank you.
These hands.
If no one has anything else they want to say, are you proposing this, Councillor Scott, and can we have a seconder? Councillor Wilkinson, can we go to a vote? Can Catherine sort us out with the vote, please?
Yeah.
Madam Mayor, can we just confirm that we are amending the motion as to we will not accept any loan?
Yes, I think I've already said that, but yeah,
sorry.
We'll confirm that we do. Thank you.
Yeah, I've actually put that in, that we will we'll take that out of the motion, that we will actually take it out of the monies that we've already got, and we will look at sort of which ones we're going to take out of. So what I'll do is, if I just say your name, will you just your name me, please? Remember to take yourself off mute, please. So we've got Councillor Muskelly.
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Cannon.
Yes.
Yes. Councillor, who have I got on the next one? Briggs.
Which one?
Herbert, sorry. Sorry. Herbert Briggs, Councillor Herbert Briggs. Yeah.
In favour.
Councillor Ryan Briggs.
Yes, I agree.
You agree. Okay, I'll go across the board. Councillor Armstrong.
For.
Councillor Paul Scott, I'm assuming you're a yay.
For.
For. Councillor Beth Dixon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Councillor Jed Gleister.
Aye.
Aye. Councillor Linda Williams.
Yeah, for it.
For it. Councillor Michael Heaslip.
Aye.
Councillor Hilary Harrington.
Yes.
Councillor Mary Bainbridge.
For.
Councillor John Hunter.
Yes.
Yeah. Councillor Steve Stoddart.
Yes.
Councillor David Farrer.
For.
Councillor Denise Rollo.
For.
Councillor Will Wilkinson.
For the motion.
For the motion. Did I leave anybody out? Is that everybody?
John.
Oh, Sean. Sorry, Sean Melton, Councillor Sean Melton. I'm sorry,
Not
Sean.
sure, do I vote or not?
Yeah.
For.
Sorry, Sean, I went past you on my list of people. I'm sorry. That's everybody for the motion then.
Councillor Blaine Sampson as well?
Oh, sorry, Blaine Sam.
Yeah,
sorry,
aye.
because yours says Galaxy Tab. Sorry.
Oh, yes, that's me.
Would you like to? What was your motion, please?
Oh, yeah,
Or your
for.
vote? For. Okay, that's great. That's everybody.
That's unanimous then. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Item 7, we've got a motion from Councillor Heaslip, which is, we'd already discussed this or debated it previously and passed it. So he has another motion to propose. So if you'd like to go through that, please, Councillor Heaslip. You're on mute. Councillor Heaslip, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Yeah, sorry, mate, colleagues.
Thank you.
Yeah, the words on the agenda paper actually refer to the motion at the last meeting. This is a different one at this meeting, and it relates to the crisis that has been nationally and locally in terms of live theatre and music and the culture and the live arts, which are suffering tremendously in the current pandemic. And I think a lot of people are very worried that unless there's some public support for these venues, many of the venues will not survive this crisis. It's also true that we have a significant part of our culture budget is dedicated towards this sort of stuff. And it's a very important part of the life of Workington. There are not many towns that have got the theatres that we've got. They've got the amateur dramatic, operatic groups, music facilities, singers, music tuition centres and so on. One notable feature of this town is the very strong cultural activities that we've got that go back over 100 years, back to the origin of the old working nice Steadford. But they're all in danger because of the pandemic, and because live theatre and live music can't actually happen because of the restrictions. Even when we were out of lockdown, even through the autumn before we went into lockdown again, those kind of facilities just couldn't be used because of the distancing regulations and the restrictions on singing, because if you're speaking out loud or singing out loud, you're transmitting the virus potentially. So it's the danger we have is that if and when we get a vaccine, and I hope to God we do, and it works, and we're out of this crisis by the summer, at the moment, it's only fingers crossed that some of our cultural activities and venues will still be there. And if we lose them, then we won't get them back. They'll be gone forever, and that'll be a tremendous loss to the town. And as we've noted before, we've got significant underspends on budget. I think I checked the culture budget underspend, and it's about 90-odd thousand pounds. And that's because I think the money that we were going to spend on cultural activities that were going to take place in venues like these hasn't been able to be spent because of the pandemic. So I wondered how we could best support them. And the reason they're in trouble is because they've got seats, but they can't get bums on them. So I thought maybe an idea what we could subsidise those seats that are empty at the moment to give the venues some kind of income related to the seats that they would have made money from if they'd been able to function. So that's why I suggested the 3 live not-for-profit theatre venues, Carnegie Theatre Royal and Moor Close, at £100 per installed seat, which works out at £68,500 out of that 90-odd thousand pound underspend. And as Councillor Cannon said before, we don't want to be underspending and getting into trouble for holding on to money when actually valued parts of the town's cultural infrastructure are in peril. So that's the proposal, Madam Mayor. Those 3 live venues, and I'm not averse to looking at others as well at the future event. But those are the 3 main live theatre venues in Workington that are in peril. And I think if we were able to subsidise them for this year only, out of underspends, at the rate I've suggested, then at least there's a good chance they'll still be there when we get out of this crisis, maybe next summer. So I'd propose that to the council. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that before we go
I'll
to the
second
vote?
it.
Thank you.
I'll have to say that.
Who said that?
I'll second.
Councillor Hunter.
All right, sorry, couldn't see you there. Thank you for your support.
Councillor Bainbridge.
Thank you. I was just raising my hand because I wanted to say that I was actually fully in support of this. We can't afford to lose any of these theatres because they're a part of our local history and part of what the public want in Workington, and we need to do our best to try and maintain them all. So I'm pleased that people are in support of it. Thank you.
Councillor Wilkinson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Catherine, I don't know whether you have the details in front of you, or maybe Councillor Scott could back me up on this, but I believe the Culture Committee have awarded grants to these theatres because I personally signed one of the cheques. I don't know the date on when it was, but I know I'm approaching 60, but not suffering any mental illness or anything, and it's quite fresh in my memory.
You're right, yeah.
Also, something else that I would like to say is, I have in front of me here, the Carnegie Theatre is now running its own lottery. And I'm not trying to be detrimental towards the Carnegie Theatre because that theatre is in my ward. I'm not being detrimental whatsoever. But if you could highlight the grants that was just being given to 3 theatres. I can't remind the exact amount and I can't remind the exact date. Maybe Councillor Scott could remind us of it if you don't have the details in front of you, Catherine.
The details, it was actually only a few weeks ago. We did £2,000 to the Carnegie and 1,500 to the other 2 theatres that we're talking about this evening.
To the September meeting, Catherine, we passed them.
Okay, they were. I know they went out of the budget in the last couple of weeks.
Councillor Miss Kelly.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to make a point. We make annual grants to town council to theatres. we give grants ad hoc as normal times. These aren't normal times. These are extraordinary times. It would be churlish, if not foolish, not to agree with Mike's motion. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Councillor Beth
Councillor
Dixon's got a hand
Dixon.
up. Sorry.
Yeah, I just want to say the grants we give grants to these theatres every year, year upon year upon year. So we do help them, but the Carnegie and all the other these theatres are supported by grants and the income they make, and the Carnegie's income and the Theatre Royals, because you're talking shows on there at least every month. Mirror Close have dance recitals and everything going on at least every month, and they get charged for that. That income is totally gone. So this is to subsidise the loss of income because of the pandemic. The grants are there and they're always there. So it's only a one-off. So I don't see the issue.
Thank you. Councillor Wilkinson, you've still got your hand up. Is this another comment or?
Yeah, it's another comment, Madam Mayor. Rather than make any rash decisions, can I make an amendment that it goes to the Culture Committee and the Culture Committee looks with regards to this on actual amountage? Yes, there is money there in the Culture Committee, but can we just do things in a rational way and let the Culture Committee have a look at this and bring it back to full council?
Sorry, Councillor Armstrong has got a hand up now.
I'm listening to what Councillor Wilkinson said, but if this is an urgency that needs addressed now, we don't meet until the 12th of January. And then to take it to the next full council, it might be too late for these organisations. So I'd just like people to bear that in mind. Thank you.
Councillor Harrington had a hand up.
Yes, I'd just like to say that the government are providing funds for, I think especially the Carnegie, because their class is a business. And I think they've got to apply, was it by the 12th of this month? They should be having some money sent to them directly quite soon. I don't know the exact figure. I tried to find out from Catherine this morning. Not this Catherine, another Catherine at Allerdale. And the exact figures were not forthcoming. But I do assure you the government are looking after paid art businesses. And that money is due, imminently due.
Councillor Herbert Briggs and Councillor Stephen Stoddart and then Councillor Billy Muskelly.
Yeah, can I second Will's proposal to take it back to the Culture Committee and have a look at it?
Okay. Is it Councillor Muskelly wants to comment?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Councillor Stephen Stoddart as well.
Oh, sorry. Councillor Stoddart first.
Yeah, well, I was just going to dive in there and second Willie's motion. I think we should just sort of ever think about this first and bring it up at the next culture meeting in the new year, then we can have a proper discussion about it rather than just diving in with our eyes closed. So I'm in full agreement with Willie Wilkinson. We'll defer till our next culture meeting. Thank you.
Councillor Muskelly. Sorry, Councillor Muskelly, you're on mute.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, sorry. Technology again. Right, I'd like to echo what's been said by Beth Dixon. Reciprocate what I've already said, but I'd like to point out what's come straight from the horse's mouth. The chair of the Culture Committee itself has said, we should act now, not drag our feet, so we can't lose any theatres. Right, money is short everywhere. Income has gone down. We need to act now. This isn't a political thing. This is us being responsible and answerable to the people of Workington.
Councillor Rollo.
Yeah, I'd just like to obviously echo what's been said about the grants. The grants that are given by the government and the little scraps that you get from here, there and everywhere as a business owner, they don't cover everything. Now, when businesses are having to make redundancies, it's tough on the whole town. And we should be helping these theatres out. We've been helping them out for years and years and years. It is an emergency issue, I do agree. And I think if we put it back to January, there's some of us in this meeting now who don't have a democratic view on that. So we can't have a say on that. So I think, you know, while we can, I'm happy to say that I agree with that now, that we do it immediately.
Okay. Councillor Wilkinson.
Yes, Madam Mayor, if it's all right with the seconder of my amendment, I would like to add into that amendment that with view to having an emergency culture committee meeting once the full status is known of grants which is made available to these venues, because we could be giving them a lot of money and also be having it seconded by central government. I think the figures need looked into rather than any rash decisions. So if it's okay with Councillor Briggs, Councillor Herbert Briggs, I would like brought into my amendment on this motion that with view to an emergency culture committee meeting.
Councillor Harrington.
Could I second that, please?
Councillor Dixon.
It's very well having an emergency meeting, but it still has to come back to a full council, and we still haven't got a full council till January. And as we say, a lot of us sat in this meeting cannot have a say in a committee meeting. So it's not democratic to do it that way, in my opinion. And it's still prolonging it and not giving them the help they need now.
Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If we're going to go down the route of having an emergency culture meeting, we need to have it sooner rather than later. But we need Catherine to go away and get all the facts and figures. But then, do we just ask the rest of the council, or do we still have to wait till after the new year, which could be too late?
We can reply to that.
I'm happy to get the figures and stuff, obviously.
Councillor Miss Kelly.
Right. If there's going to be an emergency culture committee meeting, it has to be within a fortnight. At the same time of arranging that meeting, I would suggest that you would arrange a meeting for the council to meet 2 days after.
Is everyone in agreement with that?
I would second that, Madam Mayor.
Right.
No, I'm not.
Right.
I don't accept the amendment, Madam Mayor, for reasons that people have said. This is an emergency. We need to get on with it, and I'm exercising my right to reply to the amendment to say that if we faff about with this, what kind of message is that sending out? Some of these venues are in crisis. We could take weeks over this, and in the meantime, you know, the crisis, the pandemic continues. So I'm not accepting the amendment. I'm opposing the amendment. Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Scott.
I do apologise. My screen's all funny because I'm the co-host now, so I can't raise my hand anyway. I understand fully where this is coming from. To be fair, it isn't only theatres that are struggling. I think if everybody who has a business is understanding that everything's struggling, everyone's going to struggle. I suppose my concern on all of this is how do the people of Working see this if we're just handing out money to a specific group of businesses, stroke property owners, stroke So I think we have to be a little bit more measured in how we do it. There's also a lot of talk about how much money's in our banks. And of course, we don't know what the underspend will be, and probably until beginning of next year, really, because there is still quite a bit through. So I suppose from my point of view, I would much rather see any underspend we had applied to the general saving of everybody within Workington rather than specific areas. I mean, I do agree wholeheartedly that they should have an option of applying for grants. Maybe that's the way forward, and extra money can be given as a grant. You know, that's where I would stand at the moment.
Okay. Got 2 hands up. Councillor Wilkinson. You're on mute, Councillor Wilkinson.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I'm having technical issues at the moment.
You're on now. You okay?
Yeah, I was just having technical issues. Yeah, I'd just like to reiterate what Councillor Scott said there. We're talking about underspends. We're not through the full of the year. The underspends are not going to be known until May. I know that's no help to the theatres, but reiterating what Councillor Scott has said, that is other businesses and culture venues, that it's not just theatres. If you single them out, then what sort of message are you sending to the rest of the public?
Can I make a comment here as well? Another option might be to pay part of it now, with an option to pay more later on.
Madam Chair, we do have a grant system. Has there been any applications? That's the usual route this council goes down, which is grant applications. And that would be for a matter of the town clerk, because we don't get to see if anyone has put in for a grant application. So that would be the better way. If businesses are suffering that much, that is the government's route to go down with claiming furlough payments. I'm sure these employees are being furloughed. They do have rates relief. You know, they do have all other sorts of relief. And has there been any claims for any grant applications put in? That to me would be the deciding factor to tell me whether these venues, you know, I'm not against giving these venues money, definitely not. That's why we have a culture budget. But for to jump into something without really doing the full homework on it, we'll be slated and be told we were clueless.
Thank you. Councillor Armstrong.
Sorry. Yes, I don't think we've had any grants in, but if that's the way we should be going, then maybe we should be saying to these theatres, ask for a grant from the council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Miskelly's got his hands up.
Oh, Councillor Miskelly.
Right. First of all, this is a notice of motion, not an issue of grant application, right? Secondly, if we have a vote, so if whichever way it goes, people are going to have to vote with a conscience. So I would like, if we have a vote on the amendment, on the motion, whichever way, it's registered vote.
Ordered vote, yeah.
Each councillor and how they vote.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Would you like me to go through the vote now, May?
Can we, I'm not clear what we're voting on. Are we voting first of all on Councillor Heaslip's and then on the amendment?
No, you do
No, the other way.
The amendment first? I'm sorry, I need some guidance here. More than grateful to have it.
The amendment first.
Right.
Before you go to the amendment, I did exercise my right to reply, but then people have replied to my right to reply. So can I have a right to reply to my right to reply?
Please reply again.
I just want to say I'm disappointed. I thought we had some enthusiasm for culture, but all I'm getting now is caveats and weasel words in some cases. We're not here, and we never have as a town council. undertook to support all the businesses in Workington. Although actually, if someone were to propose that we support all voluntary sector organisations with some grant through this problem, not just theatres, then I wouldn't have been averse to that. But that's another matter we would come up with. But it's never been part of Working Town Council's seen as its role to support every business in Workington, whatever it might be. It has always been seen, which is why we have a culture committee, as a particular responsibility of the town council for the cultural life of Workington, and that's why these theatres are so important. And I think we're getting little obstacles put in the way now, little attempts to push the thing into the long grass. And I'm just disappointed that the attitude of the councillors isn't wholehearted support for our cultural sector, because I think when if this isn't supported, then what kind of message are we sending to our cultural sector and the thousands of people who actually take part in it? So I would hope you oppose the amendment and support the motion. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Would you like me to do the vote now for the amendment? Is everybody ready?
Yes.
Sorry, Councillor Muskelly, you've got your hand up. Is that from last time?
I forgot to say something. It'll take 30 seconds. In normal times, the Carnegie Theatre brings 50,000 into Rookington. They help us then, we help them now. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, Mayor, Councillor Wilkinson's got his hand up.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Wilkinson.
Yeah, before we start the vote, Madam Mayor, can we just be clear on what the amendment was?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay, the amendment was to have an emergency meeting and then an emergency culture meeting, then an emergency council meeting to decide, to look at the figures and then come back and then make a decision rather than make a decision today.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what we're
Can I
voting
just
on.
ask the time scale overall then would be how much? Be 3 weeks maximum?
You could probably do it in 2, if we're honest, if we can't.
Madam Mayor?
Hello? Yes, Councillor?
It was actually noted that the town clerk would request the figures, so it would all depend on how quickly that the venues could get back to the town clerk with the vital information.
I would imagine that would be quite quick, if I'm honest. Yeah, sorry, Councillor Armstrong's got a hand up, Mayor.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I would feel happy if we could meet next Monday with a view to having back at full council for Wednesday within the week.
If I could get the figures that soon, then yeah. I mean, obviously it's up to you, but yeah.
I don't think you can do that within the requirements for publishing agendas for meetings.
Yeah. Okay.
It's gonna take longer than you think.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Okay. Okay. Is everybody ready for the vote then?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll go through names again. So, Councillor Armstrong.
I'm for the amendment.
Okay. Councillor Sean Melton.
For.
Councillor Paul Scott.
For.
Councillor Janet King.
For.
Councillor Beth Dixon.
Against.
Councillor Jed Glaister.
Aye.
Yes, yeah. Okay. Councillor Linda Williams.
For the amendment.
Thank you. Councillor Michael Heaslip.
Nay.
No. Okay. Councillor Barbara Cannon.
Councillor Cannon has interest in it, she's declared.
Right, okay. Sorry. Yeah, I said that, Fiona. Councillor Billy Muskelly.
Against.
Councillor Mary Bainbridge.
Against.
Councillor John Hunter.
For.
Councillor Denise Rollo.
Against.
Councillor Will Wilkinson.
Consider now proposed the amendment 4.
4. Councillor Blaine Sampson.
4.
4. Councillor David Farrer.
Against.
Against. Okay. Councillor Ryan Briggs.
For the amendment.
Councillor Hilary Harrington.
For the amendment.
Councillor Herbert Briggs.
For the amendment.
Okay, that's everybody. Okay.
Councillor Sansom, have you counted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's at the bottom of my
Catherine, you
screen.
lost me
so I wasn't
either.
sure.
Catherine, you've
Right,
lost me.
Steve, done it.
Oh, sorry, Steve. Do you know
You're
what?
okay.
Well, yeah, I think you keep moving around my screen. Sorry. Councillor Stephen Stoddart.
A big 4.
Big 4. Okay, right. Um, 13 for, 6 against. And 1 abstaining because of personal interest.
That motion's carried, the amendment's carried.
Madam Chair, Barbara Cannon's attempting to raise.
I'm so sorry. Councillor Connor.
Can I just clarify that? I have taken no part in this because I've declared a prejudicial interest.
Yeah.
And the clerk advised me to stay. I've not abstained. I wasn't.
Sorry, it's me using the wrong language. I'm sorry, Barbara.
It's really important that it's not recorded.
Yes.
That I did.
I wouldn't have recorded it. Just I think it's because of the way I speak. I'm so sorry, but it's because of your interest. I put that.
Thank you. Can everyone mute, please? So go on to reports from committees.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
You've only voted on the amendment.
So sorry. Can we vote on the original proposal, please?
Substantive motion.
Thank you. Can we vote on the substantive motion, please?
Okay, yeah, so Councillor Armstrong.
Against.
Against. Councillor Sean Melton.
Against.
Councillor Paul Scott.
Against.
Councillor Beth Dixon.
For.
4. Councillor Jed Glaister.
Nay.
Okay, Councillor Linda Williams.
Against.
Against. Okay, Councillor Michael Heaslip.
For.
Councillor Barbara. Oh, sorry, I keep counting Councillor Barbara. Councillor Billy Muskelly.
Sorry, 4.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Mary Bainbridge.
You're on mute, Councillor.
4.
4. Okay, thank you. Councillor John Hunter.
4.
Councillor Stephen Stoddart.
Against.
Councillor Denise Rollo.
4.
Councillor William Wilkinson.
Against.
Against. Councillor Ryan Briggs.
Against.
Councillor Hilary Harrington.
Against.
Councillor Herbert Briggs.
Against.
Councillor Janet King.
Against.
Councillor Blaine Sampson.
Against.
And Councillor David Farrer.
Can I just clarify? The people realise they're voting against the substantive motion as amended.
You've all just voted against your own amendment.
Yes, you've just voted against the motion. I will vote
No, it's the
for.
original motion that we're voting against.
No, it's the amended motion that you're voting against.
No.
Town Clerk.
No.
Thank you for that. You tricked us into that.
I didn't trick you into that. You're supposed to know what you're doing.
I know.
When you put an amendment to a motion, if it's carried, the amendment becomes the motion. But you can't just pass an amendment, you have to pass a motion. So the motion that you've been debating is the amended motion. That is, that you refer to the Culture Committee, which I have voted for and my colleagues have voted for to refer it to the Culture Committee. You've all just voted against it.
Guys, can you make sure you're muted, please, if you're not actually speaking, just so we can make sure only one person's talking at a time. Thank you. Okay, well, we did actually say the vote was because of the original motion. We didn't say it was the amended motion. I understand what you're saying, Michael, Councillor Hislop, I understand that. So if we have, do you want another vote or
I
what do you want to do?
said the substantive motion, which is whatever's on the table in front of us, which is the amendment that's been agreed.
We'd already voted on that though. And then you said no, it's the original motion.
Oh dear. If you're running a council, you need to abide by the lawful procedures as laid down in the standing orders.
Got them here.
You can't just proceed on the basis of having voted on an amendment. You can only proceed on the basis of a motion. An amendment changes the motion in accordance with the amendment that has been recommended and has been adopted. That then has to be put to a vote, because that then becomes the motion.
Right.
I mean, I
thought that's what we'd done, Councillor. I thought that we'd already voted it and I'd moved on to the next bit and you said, so am I incorrect there? I thought, I'm just clarifying, I thought when we went through the amendment, we voted it, and I thought that then became the substantive motion, and I was going to move on to the next one. And then you said, no, we haven't moved on yours, which was...
No, I didn't. I said the substantive motion, Madam Mayor. You said that then becomes a substantive motion, which is correct, but it still has to be voted on under the rules of procedure and the standing orders of the council. So what you've effectively done is simply rejected everything. You've voted against, you've voted for the amendment, which has become the motion, and then you voted against the motion. So you're nowhere.
Councillor Harrington's got a hand up.
This meeting is being videoed and being recorded. So we can go back on the recording to find exactly what has really happened here, because certain words can be added to change the different aspect of how it looks. So if Councillor Heaslip deliberately tried to hoodwink, which he did, in a sense, what goes on in the council, I'm not as well up as you are, Michael, on these things. I know there's something wrong here.
To that, I would expect someone who's as long-serving a council as you, Hilary, to know, especially as you chair Hallidale Council meetings, to know what the procedure is. All I would try to do is ensure that you actually voted on a substantive motion in order that your amendment can actually be implemented. Because if you stop without having voted on the substantive motion...
I am not the chair, Michael, here. I am not the chair. But what you have done tonight is not very kosher to me. And the deliberation of trying to misconstrue your knowledge by deliberately doing that doesn't make it quite kosher. So what I'm
trying to keep you right.
Go back here and every
Sorry,
word.
guys, at the moment you're both talking over each other. Can you please one at a time, please?
I'm trying to make sure that the council operates in accordance with its standing orders, so that you are able actually to hold a special culture committee meeting and a special council meeting. That's what I said when you moved the substantive motion, and I voted for it, to have your culture committee meeting and your council and your
However, You then said we needed to vote on the original motion, and I have to admit I am not fully au fait with procedures, and I was relying on help. And if you've deliberately misled us, I think that is rather unkind, for want of a better word.
Well, I
It's
suggest
very political.
you're really trying to politicize something.
I'm really not.
I don't understand. You're really trying to politicize them. I'm trying to make sure that the council proceeds by proper regulations. If you have any doubt of that, take advice from the.
What I'm trying to say is, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
and in fact, read the standing orders.
I've got them next to me. I can't keep that all in my head all the time. I did ask for advice, and unfortunately I got the wrong advice, and we've gone down the wrong route. If you wanted to vote for the amendment, then why bring up about the other one?
Oh dear. Once an amendment is voted on, it then becomes the substantive motion.
Right.
It's not an amendment anymore. It's the substantive motion.
Right.
So I said, Chair, you haven't taken a vote on the substantive motion. That is the amendment having become a substantive motion. It needs to be voted on as the substantive motion.
Right. Now that wasn't made clear to me. That wasn't made clear to me, and we'd voted on the amendment, which then presumably became the substantive motion. I obviously didn't use the right terminology. I was moving on to the next bit, and you said we haven't voted on the substantive motion. So I thought that meant that we had to go back to yours, and that's my error, but I've been misled, I'm afraid.
No.
And I think I don't know what we've resolved now, Catherine. So whatever we've resolved, rightly or wrongly. Can anyone advise then, please? Have we voted to go ahead with the payments?
No, Madam
Not.
Madam Mayor. No. Madam Mayor, we've now voted on the status quo before the start of the meeting, which means that the amendment is kicked out. The notice of motion is kicked out, so we're back to where we were at the start of this meeting.
You actually ended up with nothing.
Right.
Would you like to, oh gosh, can you vote again?
Can we go back to this?
We would need legal clarity because it's not on the agenda. The agenda has been gone through up until that point. It is not on the agenda, and I'm sure there is members here who would like to refuse it because it is not an agenda item on the agenda.
David, you've got your hand up. Would you want to say something?
No, I put my hand up originally when we were doing the vote.
Sorry, legacy hand.
I thought people were voting the wrong way. So I did do it at the start of the vote when people were voting against the substantive to try and point out the error earlier on. But unfortunately, it was only.
I didn't see your hand up, David.
Yeah. Councillor Miskelly, you've got your hand up.
I have, thank you. Is it all right to speak, Mayor?
Yes, please do.
Right. I'm a little distressed to hear all this attack on a good councillor that's just carried out the rules. Mike has tried to explain, and he's been verified as if he's done something wrong. He hasn't. The mayor controls the meeting. The mayor also sent out an email saying how we should all behave and treat each other with respect. And I think, it's how I perceive it, that she's just attacked my good colleague, Michael Eastlip, and I think it's disgraceful. Sorry,
Thank you, Councillor, but that isn't the case. I was under the impression that I was receiving advice. I did ask for advice. I am new in this. I am not as experienced as many of you on the council. I asked for advice, and I've obviously misunderstood. If I've upset Councillor Heaslip, I apologise wholeheartedly. I wasn't in any way trying to attack him. I just apologise, but I don't know where we stand with this now. As I say, if we have ended up with no vote at all, then that's disaster. But I don't know how we go forward.
We'll accept your apology. You know, this is why Labour members should be on your committees, maybe, because we've got the knowledge. Thanks, mate.
Councillor Armstrong has her hand up.
Oh, no, it's just, I can't get it down, sorry.
All right. What would be the next step now? Can anyone advise?
Sorry, I'm just looking at the.
Hand up.
Sorry,
I'm
who
just
has?
looking for the legal stance on this, and there doesn't seem to be one.
Right, Councillor Armstrong, or is it just left up?
Is it left up?
Councillor Wilkinson. Oh, sorry, Councillor Farrer.
Okay, sorry, Madam Mayor, because I'm not very experienced here at council meetings, so therefore I don't know all the rules and the ins and outs. But are we in a position where that because we've voted on something, we can't vote on it again for a period of time? Is that not the situation?
I don't know.
Because I think that if everybody is in favour, obviously the vote. I don't know whether or not you can vote again. That's the difficulty I've got. Sorry.
Sorry, can I make a suggestion?
Councillor Cannon's got her hand up.
Oh, sorry, I can't see her. Yes, Councillor.
It must be the first time ever in my life. I'm sorry, I'm a trustee of an organisation because I haven't been able to speak because I might have said something about this. You've made a vote twice, and you actually have, as someone said before, gone back to status quo. The only recourse you have left in this meeting, Janet, is to move to the next business.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Just one thing. Had we actually completed the vote?
No.
No, we had David Farrer to go. So the vote's not complete.
I did vote.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't.
Well, I think that's right. If the vote's completed, you're stuck. However, there is in the standing orders a provision that councillors can call with the mayor's permission, or if it's a committee meeting, the chair of the committee's agreement, an urgent meeting of a committee or of the council to discuss some urgent business. And obviously it's not, this meeting can't do anything about it, but there's nothing to stop an urgent meeting of a culture committee being called by the chair to consider exactly the same business, because as everything has been rejected, there is nothing on the table. So it's not, you're not actually reversing a decision that you've made, because actually nothing has been decided. The sheet is blank. Because the sheet is blank, you can therefore call a meeting of the Culture Committee as a matter of urgency to discuss the proposition, the amendment that Councillor Wilkinson put forward, which became the substantive motion. It can be proposed at that Culture Committee meeting and brought to a full council meeting, if that's what the Culture Committee wants to do. As I'm not a member of the Culture Committee or any other committee, I can't help you any further than that. I'm trying to do my best to keep you right as a former trainer of mayors and parish council chairs in committee business. I used to do it as part of my job until 18 months ago. I'm just trying to help you get things right.
Well, that's much appreciated then. Thank you. So would Councillor Armstrong like to?
Could I just come in, Janet, please?
Oh, sorry, Councillor.
Okay. Could I declare a 2011 on this particular agenda item? And if I can get a seconder to do that and get a vote, we can have this one totally wiped clean and just forget this one and move on to the next item. 2011. Councillor Heaslip should know very much about that motion. it's a closure motion.
Oh, right.
Oh, I'll second that
Close
then.
this motion, yes.
Yeah, but I think, Hillary, you're quoting Allerdale Council standing orders.
Hmm.
You're not quoting Workington Town Council
But
standing
aren't
orders.
you as well? Aren't you as well going by certain things? Our constitution's not, we haven't a constitution actually. We work with Allerdale.
We do. And I did say that we had to move to next
Okay,
business.
so it's for 2011, please.
In Allerdale Council's constitution, Hillary,
Yes.
not in
Yes,
Workington Town
well, you
Council.
should better know what it
Sorry,
means.
can I ask that if you're
Can
not
I-
actually
can I just say-
mute yourself, please?
Can I just say, I've already said you should move to the next business, and that's all you can do.
Right, thank you. We'll go to the next item, reports from committees. Number 8, Finance and General Purposes Committee, Councillor Scott, please.
All right, yeah. Present the meeting, next step, sorry, even I'm lost in it now. Minutes, and I would just like to say a firm well done to Judith again for the fantastic work she's done with the accounts. And as you can see within the minutes that we've got flying colours again on that one.
Okay. So have we a seconder for the minutes?
Yes, Madam Mayor, my hand's raised.
Oh, thank you, Councillor Wilkinson. Can we agree that those are correct? Or that everyone's in agreement with them? Okay. Item B, to note the report from the external auditors. So again, can we take this report as read?
Move that, Madam Mayor.
Item number 9, Planning Committee, Councillor Sansom.
Yeah, I'd like to propose the minutes for the planning committee meeting.
Okay, we have a seconder. Sorry, have we a seconder for those?
Yes, I'll second them. Janet, I'll second them.
Oh, thank you,
You're
Councillor
welcome.
Stoddart. Are we all agreed on those minutes? Okay. Item 10, Environment Committee, Councillor Harrington, sorry, it's got Harrison on here.
Hillary, you're mute. You need to put your thing on.
I stand to take the minutes of the Environment Committee on the 12th of November 2020.
Councillor Dixon has her hand up.
Actually, we haven't received the minutes for that meeting. We received an agenda, but not the minutes for the meeting, so we can't receive them.
All right.
They did go out. I sent them out after all of the ones went out. They were out on a separate email.
You resent the culture because the same thing happened with the culture, but the
Yeah,
environment.
but I sent out the environment as well because they went
I've
out.
got the environment.
They're not. It's the agenda, not the minutes for the environment for November. We've got the environment for September, but not November.
Yeah, we have, Beth.
Where?
Came out yesterday. Mine did.
I'm here.
Yeah, I sent them out. I did. Honestly, Beth, I did.
I've not received them.
I've only got the agenda.
I got the agenda too, not the minutes.
They were on the original, but I did send a further one out because I felt like I was bombarding you a little bit with loads of emails because I'd sent so many out to you. But I did honestly send them to you.
Well, I haven't got them.
Do you want me to send them out again?
Well, it's too late now.
No, I know, but do you want me to send them out to you anyway?
Definitely got them because I've got them here.
Is it definitely the minutes and not just the agenda?
No, I've got the minutes.
The minutes here.
For November and not September.
The 12th
Can
of
you tell
November.
us, can you tell us, please,
What
the
date and
time they were
time
sent?
they were sent?
When exactly?
Yeah,
were they
sorry, just let me look. Just let me have a little look. I think it was yesterday. Because somebody said, I think, Michael, I think it was you that said that that you wanted the most recent ones because I was under a wrong impression about something. So I sent them out yesterday. to everybody.
Can you tell us what time? Can you find the original?
I'm just looking for it yet. Sorry, I've sent that many emails. I've got a million here.
Yeah, sorry, I've found them now. They were under a reply.
Oh, worthy. You
Yeah.
got them.
Yeah.
Oh, smash them.
Thank you.
Okay.
So yeah, you can receive them.
Okay, thank you. So that's Beth Dixon. Second.
Sorry, were you seconding that, Councillor Dixon, or?
Sorry, my battery's running out on my laptop, and I can save it. Beth, would you like to make some remark you wanted to make about the minutes?
No, I've got nothing to send. I just couldn't lay my hands on it. That was all.
Okay. So have I got a seconder for the minutes?
I'll second them. I'll second them. It would be unjust out of us to ask Councillor Dixon. She hasn't actually read them. She's only just received them.
Okay. Do I have a seconder? So thank you very much.
So can we take them as read, even though they're not? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 11, Culture Committee, Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm moving the minutes for the last meeting. Before that, I'd like to thank our events team, Amy and Emma, for thinking outside the box and providing a lot of online activities that the people of this town really appreciate. In moving the minutes, can I ask if any questions be directed to Councillor Herbert Briggs, who took over the meeting in my absence? Thank you.
So are you proposing, and can someone else second?
Yes.
I'll second, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. We'll take them as read. Item 12, new vehicle. The council to consider the options between vehicles for the estates team. Excuse me, so we've got the reports. Who's going to be presenting this?
I will if you want to.
Yes, please.
Yeah, the estates team have put, they need a new van. There's 3 options there. Alison has said that each of them have their own merits, so she's quite happy with any of them. She said she's not particularly bothered whether she has the most expensive or the cheapest or whatever, because in a few years' time we're going to be going towards electric anyway, so it's only going to be for the next sort of 5 or 6 years. So she's happy with any one that you pick. Sorry, Councillor Cannon, you've got your hand up in there.
Just as a point, I think this kind of expenditure for what is effectively a bit of kit for the town is usually delegated to the town clerk. Well, I'm telling you, it's usually.
Oh, no, that's fine. I mean, I'm
just saying.
I was
I have
told to
never
give it to the council.
I have never ever, as a councillor, received stuff like this, except perhaps in a committee meeting.
Okay, well then I'm happy to make a decision on it.
That's fine. I think we have to accept that Catherine's new.
Sorry, guys.
So that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Thanks very much for all you've been doing anyway up to now. So I think that's the end of the meeting. Oh, we've got employment issues, but I don't think there are any.
No, we did have some at the last meeting, but they were resolved. If anybody wants to know, then I'm quite happy to go through them, but there aren't any new ones. Just if you would like me to explain to the whole council what the last ones were, it's up to the council. Do you want to know?
Madam Mayor?
Hello? Sorry, Councillor Wilkinson?
Yeah. I suggest this meeting still maybe going out to the full public. So
Yes, I think it would have to be The recording would have to be stopped if you wanted to speak about it.
Yes, Madam Mayor.